former Goldman Sachs CEO and billionaire Lloyd Blankfein was recently refreshingly honest when he suggested that he would rather vote for Donald Trump over Bernie Sanders. So now, in an interview published today with the Financial Times, Blankfein said, quote, "I think I might find it harder to vote for Bernie than for Trump." I wonder what reason. Well, I can think of a billion. Uh, now, at least they admit it that they would rather have a fascist than a progressive. Look, Lloyd Blankfein calls himself a Democrat, thinks he's generally liberal. Well, this is proof that liberals would prefer fascists to progressives. So there it is. Now, he also says, "There's a long time between now and then. The Democrats would be working very hard to find someone who is as divisive as Trump. But with Bernie, they would have succeeded." Oh, Bernie, he's so divisive. He's so divisive, and he yells too much. He's so rude. Well, that's their excuse, but here's the thing. It's not at all true. You want to talk about divisive, right? Most of the base actually likes Bernie Sanders. Democrats like Bernie. They agree with his policy positions. That is literally why he is the front runner. He's getting the most votes. But look, there's a lot of people who liked him last time, right? You say, oh, well, he lost by 3 million votes to Hillary Clinton. That means nobody likes him. In fact, Hillary Clinton comes out and says, nobody likes him. I know it's in reference to Congress, which I guess would be true because he threatens to rain in their parade or crash their gravy train. But a lot of Democratic voters do like him. But last time, they were convinced by mainstream media and people like Hillary Clinton that, oh, no, look, I know you like Bernie Sanders, and I know you like his policies, but look, if you vote for him, Donald Trump, you're going to get Donald Trump. So you have to go with the safe option, right? You don't want Donald Trump, do you? Well, we see how that worked out. America sees how that worked out, how nominating a centrist who basically is face of the establishment and had no actual vision or good policy positions that were really bold out there to try to, solve some of the big problems. And they think, well, look, Bernie Sanders can win. Now he's the front runner. A lot of people like him. A lot of the policies I love. Yes, he can win. He can win. And the polls show Bernie Sanders, and they've been, and these polls have been pretty consistent since 2016, where Bernie Sanders beats Trump by the widest margin. And if, like a lot of Democrats polled, they say that beating Trump is the first concern, well, then Bernie Sanders has the best chance out of everyone. But people like Blankfein, they do not like that. No. Because they stand to pay a little bit more in taxes. Now, taxing the rich, of course, is incredibly popular. So they can't talk about that. And they really can't hit him on policy, as Pete Buttigieg just tried. Because again, 70% of Democrats and over 50% of Americans support policy like Medicare for all. So they go to Bernie Bros, dividing the party, and Bernie yells too much. He's too angry. Ridiculous. Now, other Democrats and billionaires have expressed concerns about Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, who both have a wealth tax. Now, Bernie Sanders is a far more progressive wealth tax, and I actually believe that he would see it through. Elizabeth Warren, again, like a lot of the policies that Bernie Sanders has, aren't as progressive as Bernie Sanders, but generally tend to take us in a better direction, to be fair. So now these billionaires, they're speaking out, and they're saying, well, I don't like this. For example, we have the crying billionaire, Leon Cooperman. He says that Bernie Sanders is more of a danger than the coronavirus. Yeah. Okay. And also, we'll destroy the stock market. You also have Stephen Klubeck, who called Bernie Sanders an anarchist who would, quote, love to burn down the United States. Stephen Klubeck continues to go more and more insane. The more Bernie Sanders goes up in the polls, the more crazy he gets. And I mean, Klubeck gets. How exactly is he an anarchist when you have people like James Carville actually calling Bernie Sanders a communist? He's not. He's not a communist. He's not an anarchist. He's a social democrat with FDR-style New Deal policies. Hilarious. But of course, the big problem here is that Stephen Klubeck is worth $300 million. He does not want to get taxed. Now, there's more. Lloyd Blankfein, he's a billionaire, but don't dare try to call him a billionaire. He says, quote, I don't like that at all. I don't like assassination by characterization. This guy is worth billions of dollars, right? I don't know his exact net worth, okay? But he is a billionaire. Pointing that out is not assassination. I mean, you think, oh my gosh, like you think that's bad, right? Wait till you hear what they say about Bernie Sanders. Now, he continues by saying, I think it's un-American, again, calling me a billionaire. I find that destructive and intemperate. I find that it's just as subversive of the American character as someone like Trump, who denigrates groups of people who he has never met. Bernie Sanders, why are you going after the poor billionaires? You've never even met them. You've never even come to a fundraiser in a wine cave. So how could you say that about us, that we're billionaires? Because you are. Look, that's just, hey, look, you've got billions of dollars. You're a billionaire. There can be good billionaires. Well, okay, maybe not. But there are good millionaires. There are good rich people that do give money to great causes and have legitimately made their money without crushing people. I know, because Bernie Sanders is worth $2.5 million. You know how he got that money? By writing a book. Actually, he's wrote a couple of books now that are bestsellers. And so he wrote books that people wanted to buy, and now he's got money. That's good. Now, what's not good is, again, being somebody who gets their money, and this is why I don't like billionaires, by the way. There's only one way to get $1 billion or over, and that's by extracting it from somewhere else. And that is the problem, right? That's really the issue. Okay. It's extracting and stealing the gains from labor instead of amassing $1 billion that should have gone back to your workers. It should have, in the form of wages and benefits. And so it is largely extractive. And that is why I don't think billionaires should exist. Billionaires are a policy failure. And that's why, of course, Lloyd Blankfein is like, how dare you say that I'm a policy failure, that I shouldn't exist? It's not that you shouldn't exist, Lloyd. It's that your billions of dollars shouldn't exist in your own pocket. It should be back into the workforce, you know, and back to the people so they can spend it on goods and services and create the virtuous cycle of our economy. That's the problem. And it's not doing that. So now, let's see. So now he talks about how terrible this is, and about how terrible Trump is. And yet it makes you wonder, why would he consider even voting for Donald Trump? Well, he gives it away by saying this, quote, at least Trump cares about the economy. No, he doesn't. No, Trump doesn't care at all about the economy. I mean, he cares about using the economy to help himself. I mean, look, what Trump has done in office with the help of the Republicans and some corporate Democrats is that he's driven up massive deficits through tax cuts. That's the usual thing, right? Oh, we're going to drive up the deficit with these massive tax cuts for corporations and rich people. And then when a Democrat gets into office, We're going to scream bloody murder about deficits and debts so that we will force a Democrat to cut important programs so that they will lose their elections and so that we can get back into power and cut corporate taxes and all that stuff again until corporations and the billionaires don't have to pay anything. That's the ultimate plan, right? And so kind of ridiculous to make that argument that he cares about the economy. And basically understand what Lloyd Blankfein's saying. I agree with the Republicans on economics. I agree with Trump on economics. Now remember, those tax cuts benefited the rich over 80%, right? 80% of the gains went to the richest Americans. You have wages that are stagnant. You have 40% of Americans who cannot afford a $400 emergency because that same number works in low wage jobs making around $18,000 a year. A year. The housing market sucks. People can't afford to buy. So it's, of course, a lot of private companies are going and buying up all the real estate so that then they can rent out to people and raise rents every single year and take up most of people's paychecks. You have student debt that's out of control. But Lloyd Blankfein thinks, no, this system's great. No, and it's not just Donald Trump, by the way. It is the corporate Democrats. It is people like Obama who are technocrats. And so what it comes down to is you have to have a progressive to fix that. Lloyd Blankfein thinks, no, what's there to fix? The economy's great. Me and my buddies, we're doing just fine. We're rich, but don't dare call us billionaires. But if we elect Bernie, well, then I'm going to get taxed more. But more importantly, being taxed more and being called the bad guy, well, it's going to hurt my feelings. Because it's going to prove that people don't actually like us and that we're not the center of the economic universe, as Nick Hanauer always points out. And so, but again, the reason that we don't like billionaires is because they are a policy failure. They are an example of a system that is broken that allows such obscene wealth to flow up to people who generally would still be very, very wealthy under a normal working system, but have extracted that money through labor through money that should have gone, or wealth that should have gone to their labor. Nobody deserves $1 billion. It's a staggering amount of money to have. You don't earn that money. You extract it from people who actually do work for it. They know this, and now they're starting to get pretty angry that we're catching on. And so they would rather have someone like Donald Trump to continue to destroy the economy for regular working people than a progressive who actually wants to fix it. Because it's all about greed. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.